Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. And the Lord, of course, warm. It is a cold one out tonight here in Oklahoma, and I think it's only going to get worse. Uh, got a few things I guess we'll go over tonight. I've seen some people in the chat were asking a few questions, and I will do my best to update you on those as best as I can. We're going to do a open mic night tonight. So if anybody has any encounters they would like to come on and talk to us about, we'd love to have you. Jesse will be here tonight with Randy. So if you would like to jump on with us and share your encounters, we'd be glad to visit with you about those. It'll be a really interesting night. I'm hoping to hear some of your all's encounters and to go over it. Hello, Terminator T800. Hope you're doing good. Haven't seen you in a while. But we should have a pretty good show. Again, we have a really crazy weather event coming, so I didn't get a whole lot of studying done for tonight's live, but I think we're going to be just fine. I think we usually have enough to talk about, as I've got a lot of animals and stuff we had to prepare for today. So, hello, Gina. Good to see you. Looks like we got a few people in here tonight. Let's see. We got Emmy in here tonight. We got Terminator T800. We got Gina. We got Randy co-hosting, moderating. Jessica co-hosting and moderating. I've seen Ellen in here tonight. I hope she's still here. She was one of the questions that was asked that was wanting answered. I'm going to try my best to answer for her, and we will see how that works out. I will do my best and give you the best information that I can. Thank you, Abnormal Moderator. P.S. I still fighting it. Still have the congestion, but hopefully I will be able to get over this soon. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and throw Randy and Jesse in here before I get started down this rabbit hole too much. And hello, Lori C. Good to see you. Glad you was able to make it tonight.
Hello, good evening. I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
How are you, Randy?
Hey, Randy.
Good evening, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight?
Surviving, trying to stay warm.
I'm warm.
Well, we hope your boat stays afloat.
Yeah.
It'll stay afloat.
I just don't think I'd want to fly right now with all that's going on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I do have to fly home in, a week? So,
Well, we just cover that plane in the blood of Jesus and ask God if his angels are around you in that plane and guide you safely to your destination.
mm-hmm.
That's
Amen.
a definite. I want to thank everybody for the video drop also that we've been doing. We have a video drop that we've dropped now that has succeeded 1,000 views already and is upwards of 1,500 views. So our videos are on track and rising like they used to. Everything is looking really, really good. So thank you to all the subscribers and people that watch. That means a lot to us. Yeah, Michelle, we do have eyes here. I'm sure we have our trolls in the background. They're always there. Hope they don't get too cold tonight. I'd hate to think of them if they're in the cold. So I guess I'll go ahead and jump right into Ellen's question. Ellen wants an update on Hunter. I have to be very careful at what I release. What I can tell you is there was a lot of lies that were told that are going to be confronted. And I hope that they continue to lie and that they lie while under oath with the recordings that I have. I can say the 26th is a court date, which I'm sure everybody knows because there's a news group out there, a Facebook page that seems to make sure that everybody knows those dates. which I'm looking for those people to run as hard as they can as soon as some of this stuff comes out. But the 26th, not expecting a whole lot, just more lies. But I will say after the 26th, probably expect some I don't know how to say, some changes will occur. And I'm pretty sure that then there's going to be a lot of people watching the little website that PRT News puts out, because I have a feeling that things are getting ready to flip. And that's all I can really go into. Just that there's a bunch of lies, and the lies are going to be confronted, and that there's some big things coming, and should make a huge difference in a lot of things. And of course, I'm not an attorney, so that is my opinion. March is going to be coming up, and we're doing what we're calling a March Madness. We're going to have a lot of guests on, hopefully, for March, and one of those will be Travis Carpenter will be joining us back. And we're also going to be having D.A. Roberts will be joining us in March. He'll be coming on the show. So we got some guests lined up. We got Harold from OCST will be joining us in March. Hopefully, we'll be able to have Blake up and everything. Ellen, I'm not going to be able to give a whole lot of updates. As my attorney said, anything that anybody wants to know, they'll have to get it off of public records. There's too many people twisting the truth, making lies, and the best way to get information on that is the same as what I would tell everybody else. It's all public, so go read it for yourself, and that way you will have the truth. That's the best way I know how to say it. I think that's the best method. Another thing I had that I was going to talk to y'all about, I think is a good thing. Boots on the ground. I've had a lot of people bringing up boots on the ground, asking me when we're going to be doing boots on the ground. You know, the boots on the ground ended abruptly. I know that it ended faster than what everybody wanted. I didn't expect to get 2 flat tires. I didn't know Sarah was going to quit, so it really caught me off guard on doing the boots on the ground, being stalked and everything. It made it really hard. Terminator T800. There is no doubt. I will agree with you on that 100%. But I didn't expect certain events to happen, people to quit. I had to revamp a lot of things in the community as far as putting people in different positions I didn't expect to have to do. For instance, Jessie, she was co-hosting, and I was trying to get Jessie out of the co-hosting to where she could moderate and then run her channel. And I thought we were getting close to getting everything accomplished. Sarah decided she didn't want to do it no more, so then I had to throw Jessie back into the co-hosting and moderating, and then bring Randy on, which thank God Randy was grateful enough to come on. Our channel was attacked severely. Some of our people were attacked personally and their families, and it's been a hard go. The people that's truly stuck it out here on Abnormal Investigations, I appreciate you guys. You guys are the finest of the finest. I appreciate that, Gina. That means a lot. And Terminator T800, that means a lot to me also, and I agree with you. Mike, I will. You're very honest, and these people are awful, and karma will get them back. Yeah, Gina, the lies are crazy. The circumstances of the events are crazy, but I think that we still have some things that are going to come out that are going to change public opinion. Jessie knows a lot of the lies that's been circulated. She knows a lot of the information that I've been given. Um, it's terrible. I'll let Jesse elaborate just a little bit more on that while I got to look at something real quick. I mean, just as far as the lies and how everything gets twisted, that's why we're afraid to say so much, because we have so much stuff just gets turned and twisted, and everybody has their own agenda, it would seem.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, the best thing to do is, if you want information, to go to the records, because any other information that comes out, everybody else seems to have their own way of thinking and turning things around, only hearing or listening to what they want to hear and aren't listening to all of the facts, and the stuff is twisted. So it's best at this point to let things fall where they fall, because nobody's listening to the facts, nobody's listening to the truth, and they're twisting it as much as they can to meet their own agenda. So unfortunately.
And I think the best way for y'all to get the facts is not to listen to the public gossip and just get it from the court records. That way, you get to hear and read everything that goes before the judge and before the court. That way, you're not being fed a bunch of lies. We do have D.A. Roberts going to be joining us in March. He's going to be coming on the show, so I'm pretty excited about that. Getting back to the boots on the ground. Like I said, I didn't expect that to happen, so kind of got thrown for a loop on that one. But I have been talking to somebody. Excuse me. I spoke with a buddy of mine named Josh, and I believe he is going to be helping me with the boots on the ground. We're talking about right now doing some boots on the ground outings, which is going to be awesome. Wide Open Adventures. He's going to be helping me with Wide Open Adventures. We're going to be kicking that off. He loves to hunt and fish. I love to hunt and fish. We're going to have boats and access to a lot of things, so should be a very explosive year coming up. Some catch, clean, cooks, some camping, some hunting, some stalking, some farming, some animals, just you name it. We're going to try to get as much of that in that other channel as we can. And if you haven't joined, I'd like to invite you to join over there. But the boots on the ground, Josh is going to be a great attribute to the team. He is very well organized. He will up my security as I am in the woods. There will be a higher security level as far as me not having to worry about being attacked or stalked as we were. It's going to bring a whole different atmosphere to the woods whenever he's with me. Let's just say he's very well trained. And we're going to pursue the boots on the ground. If they like it or not, the trolls don't like it because they know that is a big point of the show, that brings in a lot of the views, the revenue, and people enjoy that. Well, as much as I hate to tell you, trolls, those days are over. They're ending because we are in the final planning stages of some boots on the ground. So that's going to be happening, like it or not. Failure is their option. They're going to fail no matter what happens. So, but yeah, boots on the ground should be coming back. Wide Open Adventures should be kicking off. It should be a great year for that. I'm really excited for that. Actually, very, very excited. Gina, Boots on the Ground is coming back. We'll have some T-shirts with Boots on the Ground coming back. I apologize to you guys. I know you love that, but I did not expect to get the 2 flat tires. I didn't know Sarah was going to be quitting. So it was kind of just a big hit, and it was a whole reorganization. I had to do a lot of things. I had to move people, put people in different positions, and we had to make things work. We had lives, and we had the Patreon things that we had planned that were coming up. We were in the middle of investigating that. We have other things that we were investigating, and whenever you have those big changes, it kind of really hits you hard. And these people, and I think part of their plan is to run my crew off, because when they do that, they know it puts me in a predicament and they scare them off. Well, I think my crew is getting stronger and stronger and stronger now, because I've got people I just don't think is going to run no more. And you know, you're not going to be able to stop us. And eventually, we're going to end up with that team that's just not going to care what you say, do, lie about, whatever. That was Josh's feelings today. Also, he's like, "No, I don't care. I'll run at them. I'm not going to run from them." So, I mean, it's going to work. So, just bear with us. Give us time. Boots on the ground will be back. We're not a place that just tells stories. We are a boots on the ground investigative channel. We don't sit behind a desk and weigh 400 pounds and tell stories that are called in and swear they're true. I like to get my hands dirty. And I don't think you can find the truth unless you're actually out investigating. So that's always been my opinion on everything. If you don't get your hands dirty, then you're not able to know. And jumping back to our last show, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. What did everybody think about the Travis Carpenter DNA? Was that not something? That really
Are
got
you
me to
talking about?
think. Do what?
Nope. Go ahead.
Nope. Your turn. Your turn.
No, I was just asking if you were talking to me and Randy, or if you were talking to the chat.
Yep, throwing it out there. What? Nope, talking to you and Randy. What did y'all think about that? And the chat, of course. What did y'all think about that? What was your thoughts on the DNA? What does that make you think? What does that drive home for you?
It solidifies that there's proof. I mean, I was just talking to my mother earlier about that today, and the fact that there's so many people that say there isn't proof and there's nothing to show that I mean Bigfoot even exists. There is proof, and it's just a matter of where people are looking for that information and whether they're willing to accept and believe it. And I mean, Melba and Scott and Dave Paulides had the proof, and they've got it out there, and it confirms. I think it's awesome. It's just a matter of people accepting it.
What's your thoughts on it, Randy? Did it change your mind on anything?
Blown away. Yeah, just kind of like Jess just mentioned, people claiming there's not proof. There is proof out there. Now, if we can just link it to the fathers, that's going to be a different challenge in itself.
Yeah.
If we will even ever have that kind of data, I don't know that God will allow us to have that much. I don't know what the limit is on us at this moment. We just done our Patreon video that we could no way know how release to the public.
No.
If we release that, we would be done. And I don't know how many of y'all in the chat tonight have saw that Patreon video, but there's so many things going on right now that like what Randy said, I would be afraid to fly right now. There is a lot of things happening that really get your mind to going. I think there's a lot of evil at work, and unfortunately, we know a lot of the evil, no doubt. Probably personally. Gina, it is. It's crazy. It's very crazy. So I looked up an encounter today that happened in Oklahoma, and I thought it was kind of an important, kind of a neat encounter. The name of the encounter was called the Buckskin Girl. Have you heard of that, Randy?
No, this is a new one to me. I haven't heard of that one.
No.
It was an unidentified female. She was found in Oklahoma in 1980. She was wearing a handmade buckskin coat that was made from the woods. It was totally handmade. She was discovered April 3rd of 1980. Hunters found her remains in a wooded area now near Purcell, Oklahoma. Her age was estimated to be between 16 and 22 years of age. She was about 5'4", 110 to 120 pounds. The cause of death was never determined, and she was never identified as to match any missing person in Oklahoma or any states. They don't know where she came from.
Hmm.
But the way she was dressed did not match how you would be dressed in 1980. It looked like she
Like
was
she came
totally,
out of time.
yeah, a long time ago, like in the olden
Hmm.
days. Hello, Lisa Ann. Any thoughts?
Do you have more information or just that?
That was pretty much it. That's the police report. They're still searching themselves. They don't know where she came from.
Hmm.
How long? How long? How long had she been dead? Do we know? Was it a body or was it a decayed bones? What did they find, or
It,
do we have any of that information?
it was a full recovery.
So she hadn't been dead that long before somebody found her.
Yeah, because everything was still there whenever they recovered her.
I have heard stories of time travel, but we have really no evidence here of that, other than we've got somebody found dressed in 1980s attire, and they don't know who they are. That's definitely a mystery, definitely an abnormal investigation file for sure.
Around that same time and place, there was another incident called the Sauter family children incident. Their house burnt. It says the night of the fire, it destroyed the Sauter family home. No bodies were found in the home or in the ashes. 5 children vanished: Maurice 14, Martha 12, Lewis 9, Jenny 8, and Betty 5. No signs of forced exit. All doors and windows were closed and locked from the inside, per the fire marshal. The fire burned extremely hot, but no structures around the home were harmed or even burnt. Uh, another weird one of the house burnt and nobody was found.
No bodies were found,
No bodies.
and the children are all still missing.
Yes, never recovered. I'm not sure what Anthony's talking about. I'm sorry, that's what I was watching.
Hmm.
Yeah, John. She is no longer doing it. But the children were missing and were never found. And they have no idea where they went.
Without more data, this is going to be very hard to find out anything. In my opinion, we need more data. I mean,
that was the full police report. They're still wondering themselves.
do we have anything? Were their vehicles missing, or were they're both? Were all vehicles accounted for, and they just vanished in the thin air? Is that what I'm getting here? They have no idea where people went.
Everything was there except for the bodies.
Well, something happened. Do we know if they were into the occult or anything like that? Have we heard any stories, any rumors, anything like that?
No, but I do know that Oklahoma also had another incident where a man was burnt to death in his chair by an extremely hot fire, and nothing around him was damaged.
Another case of spontaneous combustion. Is that what we're saying? Yeah,
that's what they believe. Yeah.
The X-Files did an episode on that. If anybody likes the X-Files, that's a pretty good. I would hate to be burned up in a fire. That would be horrible.
It almost sounds like they were removed.
Maybe a cover-up?
Yeah, I think they were taken, and then the house was probably burnt.
To cover up the evidence of whatever happened here? Very well sounds possible.
Almost sounds like an abduction.
Of the spontaneous combustion?
Well, I think
one?
probably
or the children.
The children. Yeah, I think that was it could have been an abduction, and then the house burnt for a cover up.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, we're not looking for any new moderators. Sorry.
Yeah, I would probably lean more towards abduction with the house and the children disappearing.
That's what I'm thinking also. It makes you wonder, what was they into, or what did they do?
Yeah, there's a cause and effect. Something had to have happened in order for this situation to have occurred, and we have no data before or after any of this, really.
Right.
So it's going to be hard to piece anything together without more data or any trails to go down. Do we have any leads?
None. Actually, they put that out to the public in hopes to get leads, because that right there is all they have. So.
And how long ago did that one happen?
1980.
Oh.
Wow. So any trails or any leads have gone cold, really cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This would be a hard case to crack. I mean, without any information. Do we have any witnesses? Anybody claiming to have known anything? Like I've said, I know nothing about this particular story, but have we heard any rumors or, any witnesses coming forward and claiming that they know something, or is it just we have no information?
That was all the information that they had. So it's strange to me that they would have so many kids and not have very much information from family members. You would think that somebody would at least heard something, thought something, had at least a theory,
And where were the parents?
The parents are still alive. They exited the house during the fire.
How hot does a house fire have to be to consume a body of a child? Does anybody know? I mean, how many times has a child burned up
to have zero remains? It would almost be unheard of. You would have remains in a house fire.
So they didn't die in the fire.
Yeah, they wasn't in the fire.
So I think it goes back to, it smells like a cover-up of something sort. And, But again, we don't know what caused the house to burn down. Was it intentionally set, or was it by homeless people? I mean, we have no information on that, so it's just speculation and guessing. Is about the best I can do without more information or data to, form any more conclusions. But
I think, yeah,
the
I think they need to look on the side if they may have possibly sold their children would be where I would start looking.
or they used them for other
Well,
things, sacrifice maybe.
well, it was
Right.
the 80s. I mean, anything. Yeah, that was a thing back then too. Yeah, hot.
So yeah, I mean, and then they say the fires. They talk about how nothing around them was injured, scorched, or anything like that. So not a what you would call a normal fire, because normally you have a house fire, the trees and structures around that house, will be damaged, burnt, scorched,
Hmm.
whatever. So
Especially if it would have been hot enough to, yeah, consume a body and not leave much remains. It would have been way too hot. Well, how close was the nearest home?
it doesn't say. It just
Didn't say.
says that nearby structures were not damaged.
And the parents have given no information about what happened to their children, or they're
They have
claiming they died in the fire.
all they know is they went to bed, the house caught on fire, and they left the house, and the children were not found.
And they don't know the cause of the fire?
Nope, they don't know the cause of the fire in the gentleman in the recliner either. They speculated at first that the fire could have been caused by a cigarette, but after further inspection, the fire burnt too intense and in one area. It was too large of a fire, too hot of a fire, and then there was stuff setting directly around that chair that was plastic that wasn't even melted. It's like the fire was concentrated, almost like a laser.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Gee, that's funny that you say that.
Do we have any
Weren't we
other?
just talking about technology that we had for years that has been tested out that would match?
Maybe they didn't have a blue roof.
But
I know
no
we.
comment.
I know we can't go down.
No.
Yeah, like what Romans is saying. You know, I think that's very plausible.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, Figgy, I would say that the children were definitely removed. The whereabouts of the children is what I would be wanting to know is where are the children? It sounds like they
Well,
were, you know.
the children are often used for satanic purposes where they're, I won't go into great details, but they don't survive.
Right.
They're unalive at some point in the ritual. It's horrific what they do to children.
Which I
Well, and they
think
could have
was
been sold off into some type of foster or adoption as well. I mean, it's still bad, but it's not as
Yeah,
nefarious.
there were stories of people selling their children for profit. Yeah, I've heard about that here in the United
Yep.
States.
Especially in the 80s. Yeah.
really, it makes you wonder, what are people actually capable of? If anybody has an encounter they'd like to share, I'm throwing the link in the chat. I was wanting to have a open mic night tonight to kind of listen to some of our viewers' encounters they've had and kind of discuss them. So there's the link if anybody would like to jump on and share an encounter. I just threw it into the chat.
I have a question for Jess. What was the scariest boots on the ground that you've ever done? What, I mean, have you ever had a time where you got the hell scared out of you? And if so, do you feel like sharing that?
I would probably say that the scariest one that I've had so far was the one that I just recently did, out by the lake area.
Is that
I
one?
heard weird.
Go ahead.
Yep, that one is that's the one I just did, what, 2 weeks ago?
And we see you
Um,
survived it, which is a good thing.
yes. No, I had some weird noises that I not necessarily that anybody could hear through the phone or through the recording and speakers. But there were some strange things that were caught. I got the first whistle that I actually did. I got a whistle back. But I did have really, really bad anxiety when I even first arrived. It was really hard for me to breathe and go through and even start. Um, but
What do you think
I
is
just
causing
it
that
was very
anxiety?
creepy.
When you're feeling that anxiety, what do you think is causing that? Do you think it's these creatures causing that, or do you? I mean, any idea? Your opinion?
Um, well, I have anxiety in the first place, so it could have been
Oh, okay.
anything from I don't. But again, it started from the minute I pulled up. So when I even parked the vehicle and got out, crossed the road to get into the park area, it's like the minute I crossed the road and got into the park, I started with the anxiety. It was really bad.
And how did
Pushed through,
from
but
and did that? Do you think that affected? Was there like a? Did you get a sense that this is going to be an active night based on when you get anxieties like that beforehand, or is that just random? The anxieties and stuff like that.
I didn't know what to expect because I'd never had anxiety that bad when I've
Oh, okay.
arrived in a location before. So a lot of the solo investigating is very new to me. Anytime I've ever in the past, even when I was younger, when I would go, most of it was paranormal type investigating. So even that, I was never by myself. So I think that adds to it as well, very much. Um, but if it was something that was out there, I don't know. I do think that I caught some stuff when I went back to review some footage. Again, I can't be certain if I actually caught anything for sure, but I do want to go back out to that location because I do think that it was way more active than any of the other locations that I've been to, and it very well could have been something that was out there that was giving me that anxiety feeling. Because as soon as I started walking out, the anxiety passed. It wasn't until after I started making my way out and I'd hit a certain point, that's when all of a sudden the anxiety just lifted. So it
I
could have
wouldn't
been.
think. See, here's a study that I'd like to, if we could get enough data to see if other people are experiencing similarities when they go to this particular site. Do other people have anxieties, or is it just you? I wonder. I mean, has anybody done any compare and contrast on stuff like that? The
Well,
other
unfortunately,
question
the
is,
location. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say,
Unfortunately,
is this boots on the ground
go
on
ahead.
YouTube? Okay, I'm just letting the other
Yeah,
people know so if they want to go see it, they can go to your website or your YouTube
yeah,
channel, which I'll do shortly.
yeah. It's the very last one that I had just done. But the locations that I'm going to, I can't really do a whole lot of uh, research as far as looking up other people that have done anything in these areas because I can't make them public because of the types of locations that I'm going to because they
I
are could be state forests, could be, and so therefore um,
Yeah.
They will kick those off. So
Yeah, I think maybe even a sense of dread could cause people's anxiety to bother them. Because I've had
Uh,
that dread thing.
hmm
Maybe in the future that we can get both you and Mike together for a live boots on the ground. That would be really fun to see you two working together at some place. I'd love to see
well,
that.
I have been working on my brother a little bit. I'm kind of hoping maybe one of these days I can get him out to go do an investigation with me since he's also a concealed carry as well. So kind of cover each other's backs. But I'm working on him slowly but surely. Maybe I can get my brother out there with me one of these days.
So, Jess, have you had any close encounters with monsters or creatures to where you feel like talking about it?
I've had things that I've talked about before on the show. Things
Okay.
that I have had in the home that I grew up in. But a lot of my stuff has been more paranormal. Um, Not necessarily like cryptid wise, other than the small little impish creature that like terrorized the house that I grew up in. I don't want to say terrorized. I mean, it's not like it was an ongoing thing. It was once in a while, but scary enough. But I wouldn't. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know if I would categorize that as like a cryptid creature. I mean, definitely demonic of some sort.
Interesting. Mike, no, some questions for you. You were talking about you've experienced that anxiety, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I'm going to let you pick up back where you were at on that.
Oh, just I think everybody experiences a sense of dread. Um, it is harder to investigate when you're alone. Uh, you have so much equipment you're having to carry. You're not just able to focus on the task ahead. You're having to focus on making sure that your viewers have good quality video to be able to see what you're seeing. So you find yourself looking through a lens and then looking at the field of view instead of being able to just have the field of view and be able to assess the situation immediately. Uh, I think it slows your progress, it slows your reaction time, and it could hinder you in certain situations if something was to try to attack you. Um, Being alone, you lose the 360-degree coverage. Uh, at best, you're looking at what 180 probably, and I wouldn't even call it a complete 180 just due to the equipment. And what a lot of people aren't understanding too is a lot of people they get frustrated because they can't see, and a lot of their complaints are you need a brighter light, which isn't the case because the light that I'm using, I'm able to see just fine. But because people are wanting to see what's going on, you go up to that brighter light, which is a super bright light, in order for your whatever you're using, your cell phone, your camera, or whatever, to be able to pick that light up. You are night blinding yourself. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage because now you have limited your field of view, your range of view, and if something was to happen, say your light gets knocked out, you're attacked, your light's knocked off of you, you have lost the element of surprise, and you were at the, I hate to say it, but you're
gonna be something's dinner at that point. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you're the prey. I mean, like the old saying. I mean, if you can't see it, you can't shoot it, right?
yes,
And
So
that
yeah,
doesn't even, that's not even necessarily for a cryptid, too. I mean, that could be any wild animal that's out there.
exactly.
I mean,
Try to outrun a bear on foot and see what happens to you.
right,
I mean, if a
right.
bear can chase you down and kill you and eat you, imagine whatever other cryptids can, because they're a lot faster than normal
oh, yeah.
animals.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and I don't like going alone because you find yourself, you're carrying your drink, you're carrying your camera that's live, you're carrying your IR camera, you're carrying your EMF reader, you're carrying your Geiger counter, you're carrying your backpack that has first aid equipment in it, you're carrying your self defense, uh,
Your personal protection or your
right,
PP, personal
and
protection equipment.
Yeah.
yeah, and then you're trying to record, stay focused, and photograph what you're hearing and what you're seeing. It puts you in a real predicament. And thank you, Randy, for that donation and sunshine. God bless both of you for that. Uh, I think that, and I would not recommend anybody. And I'll say two reasons, Randy, and I'll see what y'all's take is on this. Two reasons I think that investigating solo has its disadvantages. Number one, of course, is security. But number two, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to deliver 100% investigation because you have to be focused on your audience. Because if you don't have audience retention, then it doesn't matter. So you have to focus on good quality content while trying to investigate a scene. Now, to where if you have two people, for instance, Josh is going to be assisting me. Josh has a lot of training. Josh is used to being in high stress situations. He enjoys that adrenaline rush the same as I enjoy that adrenaline rush. Um, our training works well hand in hand. So then you get the sense of you feel like you have your security. You've got somebody watching your back that you know that if it comes down to it, that they're going to make the right decision. And you trust that person with your life, then you're able to perform better in the field. Um, you know, to people that do investigate alone, they have some real courage because it takes a lot to go out alone. Where I go, particularly, uh, there's nobody around, and I'm not just talking about cryptids. I'm talking where I go. There is nothing around. If I was to suffer a snake bite, if I was to suffer a broken leg, compound fracture, a femoral artery get cut, or God, God, I hope it never happens, but if I was to ever be shot, the location out here where we're at, it would take, if they knew where you was at, 40 to 45 minutes to get here. And you're looking at another hour to even be to what we would consider a trauma hospital. So you're looking at 2 hours.
Question, Mike.
Yeah.
Have we met Josh yet? People are asking.
No, Josh has not appeared. They will get to meet Josh the 24th. He will be on our outdoor channel for the first time, and we're going to be talking about some upcoming events for the outdoor channels. He's going to be kicking off a YouTube channel. We're going to be collaborating together and growing both channels. So everybody, the 24th, make sure you're subscribed to Wide Open Adventures. I think Randy can throw the link up, and you guys will be able to meet Josh for the first time. I'm really excited about having the help with Josh. We're probably going to get into some things that we probably shouldn't, because I think that with the trust that we have in each other, the outdoors training and stuff, we're probably going to push the limits even further and go even deeper than I have. And God only knows where that's going to lead us. Hopefully to some credible evidence. Um, you know, he has the equipment to bring down a Bigfoot, no doubt. So I mean, I'm not worried about that part. But it's just the fact that how far are we going to push each other? And you know what I was talking about too is where I'm at. A lot of people don't understand. If you get hurt where I'm at, help can be a long ways away. Um, we are a very unpopulated, behind the times kind of a town. Uh, most of our help around here is volunteer. So we don't have the luxury of having highly skilled or highly trained personnel in case, and you know, unless they would come from a larger city. But then again, you're still talking time, because they don't know the area. They got to be able to find you. They got to be able to assess the area. And y'all been in the military, you know that you can't just bring a helicopter into an area you're not familiar with at low flying altitude if you don't know the area and what's around. You just can't do that.
Right.
I mean, right now
Yep.
we seem to be having trouble dodging other airplanes with landing lights on. So I can imagine.
Yeah, and God forbid you get attacked by a cryptid. That would be another matter. I mean, my God, if you survive the attack, that is, and don't
Right,
bleed out along the way, depending on what they do to you.
right. And a lot of that runs through my mind. I mean, there is things that I don't think a lot of people take into account. Is you could go out and have something as simple as you lean up against a tree, just an example. And we was taught this in my field training for survival and wood training. You lean up against a tree and say you take a scorpion sting to the neck or a black widow bite. Okay, both of those in Oklahoma are probably more than likely not going to be fatal just in the bite or sting itself. It's the secondary reactions that you're going to have to that, and one of those being anaphylaxis. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but anaphylaxis isn't just like what you see in the movies. It's not the person holding their throat and they can't breathe and then all of a sudden they die. Anaphylaxis has a lot of different characteristics. It causes people to become disoriented, cold sweats, upset stomach. It can cause onset of rapid heartbeat. It can cause panic. It can cause dread. It can cause a lot of other things to happen other than, which would be the final thing, which would be losing your ability to be able to breathe. So if you don't know how to use, say, an epinephrine pen, or you don't know how to perform a tracheotomy, an emergency tracheotomy, you can really be in a lot of trouble just from a little insect, not even the big cryptid that's waiting on you out there in the field. Uh,
Mhm.
we have a lot of that stuff here in Oklahoma. I mean, we have spiders, we have snakes, we have scorpions. I mean, we have, you name it, we just about have. I mean, they found a couple of alligators here now, and one of them was 12 foot long, 12-foot alligator here in Oklahoma.
Bobcats and I've seen mountain lions near where I live. I've had them cross the road right in front of me
Right.
at twilight, and all you see is a little shadow. And I saw a tail with a little ball on the back of it.
Let me tell you a story. I can't tell you all of it because I would like to wake up at home tomorrow. There was an incident. There was an incident that happened. A older man and an older lady lived down on a river, right? So a call comes across the scanner one night, and the word is the lady's husband was attacked by a large black panther on two legs. Okay, so this is over the this is over the scanner. Sheriff's Department, Oklahoma Highway Patrol. They're rushing to the scene, right? Because you have a man that's down in the backyard. He's got multiple contusions, cuts, scrapes. He's bleeding. I mean, you don't know how bad he's hurt. Is he bleeding out? Is it survive? You don't know. So they're on their way to assess this gentleman and to get him first aid, whatever his injuries would require, right? So while they're on the way, you can listen on the scanner, and I have the skip codes on my scanner just from what I used to do, and you can hear them talking, and they say, "What did you say attacked him?" And you can hear the other officer say, "Well, the wife is saying that something came out of the river bottoms on two legs, and it was jet black, attacked him, and threw him through the clothesline." And then you hear like total silence. Like nobody knows what to say. Because, I mean, normally when an animal attacks somebody, you don't hear it come running up out of the riverbank on two legs and through somebody. I mean, it might have come up out of the riverbank and attacked somebody, but it didn't run up out of there and grab somebody and throw somebody. So you have this awkward time of silence, and then you hear the game warden come on, right? So the game warden comes on, and the game warden very firmly says, "Do not engage that creature in the woods. Do not engage that creature." One of them comes back on and says, "We have to secure the scene. We have to get rid of what's there, He comes on and says the four-letter word. I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble. And he says, "Stay the F out of that river bottom." That's over the air. Now you're not talking untrained people here. You're talking game wardens. You're talking Oklahoma Highway Patrol. These are pretty top of the line trained guys at what they do. A lot of respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they get down to the. Go ahead.
They're not trained to handle what's at the river bottom, evidently.
Well,
and the superior knows that.
Well, it actually escalates. As they're on the way, the warden actually ends up showing up first. And while the warden's there, the other emergency crews they show up. And here's the weird thing that really, really caught my attention. They called in a Black Hawk helicopter from the National Guard out of Kansas with a FLIR system on it to track a creature in the river bottoms.
See, we did more than just fill sandbags.
Right. So the helicopter is on its way. we're listening to the chopper talk to the ground, and the chopper is. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll tell you the river. The chopper's coming up the Verdigris River, and as they're coming up the river, you can hear them talking. We're at such and such area. How far out are we? How close are we? They actually arrive on the scene, and when they arrive on the scene, they spot an animal in the river bottoms that is down by the river, and they ask for clearance to be able to pursue the creature, which of course they're given, they're able to pursue it. So they're pursuing this creature using FLIR. I don't know if they're using a spotlight or not. If they would use a spotlight with FLIR, probably not. But anyways, they're pursuing this creature with FLIR, and while they're chasing it, you can hear one of the people in the chopper say, "You're not going to believe this, but we're having trouble keeping up with this thing, and it's moving through the woods, over downed timber, over gullies and creeks. You know how a river is. This thing is going down the river so fast that they're having trouble keeping eyes on it." Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's outrunning the chopper, but it does mean that it's fast enough and it's moving fast enough that they're having trouble keeping the FLIR on whatever's running. That was my guess. That would be my assumption, because I don't see it just flat out outrunning the chopper.
Yeah.
So they come back on, and they say whatever it is, and this is the part that just, I got goosebumps now. The lady on the chopper says, this creature we're chasing just went from quadrupedal to bipedal. Dead airspace. Then one of the officers calls up, and they say the call name to the chopper, "Are you guys armed?" The chopper says, "Repeat that." And they say, "Are you armed?" And of course, the callback is, "Just our sidearms." So there's the National Guard for you, But they come on and they say, "No, just our sidearms is all they have. They don't have like a door gunner or anything." I'm guessing that's what they were asking for. And then they come on, and the lady that's, I guess she's running the FLIR because the pilot seemed to be a male. She comes on and she says, "It's gone." And they come back and they say, "What do you mean?" And she said, "We just went around the corner down here where the river bends." She said they went around the bend, and as they went around the bend, it was gone. It disappeared in the bend. So they done a couple of flyovers, and they was unable to relocate it and left. Now, later that night, the gentleman was taken to the hospital. I believe they said he had 123 stitches. The top of his head, back, and chest mostly. He did survive. He was in his 70s. Luckily that he did survive. They had a debriefing. I know there was a debriefing at the school gymnasium, and everybody was told not to talk about it. And that's all I can say about it. Without, I will say that no, I can't even do that. Yeah, it. I think I've told Jesse the end of this story. There was life lost, and I don't want to go into the particulars of that.
Yeah.
But
Civilian or military losses?
Maybe.
You said
not
Maybe.
not civilian.
Maybe.
Oh wow. So if they would have been armed, I'm assuming their supervisor or their superiors were going to have them open fire on whatever the hell that thing was to take it out. That would
Well, I don't know, and you and Jesse may know more about this than I do, being prior military. I don't know. I think, if I remember right, in our training, isn't there a law that keeps you all from using live ammo on American soil? Isn't there like a huge protocol to even be able to do that? I can't remember the name of the law. It's been 10 years.
I don't believe so. No,
I'm thinking there's
not that.
I think there's a, hold on. Let me see here. Dana, they said it was large, black, and it was bipedal. And another thing that really blew my mind on that is if it was running so fast quadrupedally, how did it go bipedal and move even faster? You would think it would be faster on all fours, right?
Evidently, they can run faster standing up on two legs than they can run on all four. Which sounds just the opposite of what it should be.
I would think dropping to all fours it would be faster.
Well, these things, again, this just goes to show that these things are not normal animals. They're just, no normal animal could do what these things do.
Right.
Okay. There is a law that would prevent the military from doing that. The name of the law, if anybody wants to look it up, is called the Posse Comitatus Act of the United States Federal Law. It's 18 USC 1385. The U.S. military cannot use force upon our own soil.
That's why the helicopter was unarmed. And
That's
they
what
only had their...
That would be my guess. Yeah, because I knew there was, because I knew that, but then there's, don't hold me to this, guys. It's been a long time. But I think the National Guard has loopholes in that law because the military works for the president and the National Guard works for the governor. So I believe there is loopholes as to how you can use the National Guard to work in concert with law enforcement. But it's been a while since I've done that, and I really don't want to. I don't feel comfortable going into that. Kaylee just walked by, mean mugging me. I'm gonna get up and slap her here in a second. But I'm feeling a little violent. But yeah, if anybody's interested in it, it's called the Posse Comitatus Act. Yeah, Ellen might be right. It may have went into a cave system. It may have cloaked. I'm thinking if it done anything, and Randy, y'all let me know, Jesse. I would say more of it either went into a cave system or went down under that river. Because even if it cloaked, I think the FLIR, as much as it was running and heated its body from running that far or that fast, it would still be visible under FLIR.
I have a different opinion. I think it went there, got out of sight, and then it just like teleported somewhere else. Because if it was like you said, infrared, they would have been able to find it. They couldn't find it on infrared. The creature wasn't there. A cave system, perhaps. But like I said, I've seen a creature 3 feet from my face, lit up by, my headlamp, basically open up a dimensional door, step through it, and vanish right in front of me. So if one of them can do it, they probably all can, in my opinion. If these things have that natural ability from the fallen angels to be able to teleport, I don't know how it works, but I've seen a werewolf use whatever supernatural ability that they have that allows them to transport from one location to another. And I'm thinking that's traveling at the speed of thought, which is faster than the speed of light. I think that's an ability that the fallen angel creatures may have after what I've witnessed. I've had other people who have witnessed these things run behind a barn, a small barn, but barn enough, they knelt down behind it, and then when the people got behind the barn, the creature was gone, and there was no cave system. There were no trees. It was just an open field with a little barn or a little shed, and that thing got behind it and vanished. And when they went behind there was no cave system. There were no trees for it to jump into and hide. It was just gone. And I know multiple people who have witnessed this besides what I've seen. So I'm beginning to put a theory together that maybe one of these creatures' natural abilities may be some type of teleportation that we don't know about yet. My observation of what I've witnessed firsthand.
And prayers for Lisa Ann that she gets to feeling better. She's not feeling well tonight, so we pray that you feel better soon, Lisa Ann. I know this stuff is tough. I'm still trying to kick it.
That flu is no joke.
Oh man, it's rough. Another thing I didn't tell y'all, that river, and it may play into it may be important. That river on average is 40 to 60 feet deep. It does have some places it's 80 feet. And that river also connects to the Mississippi, which that river is also considered an open seaport.
Yeah, we might have to do another one of those Patreons on some of these topics that we can't talk about here.
Right.
Like the flu was normal flu, in my opinion. I think that, well, I won't say that anything else other than I don't think the flu is normal. Because I'm still getting over it, and it's been well over a month. It just seems like it's taken forever to get my energy levels back up. That's been the biggest.
Well, hey, I'll tell you, they had some strange protocols. Well, not strange, but they had cleaning protocols here put into place for the cruise lines because of basically the same thing that they did with COVID, because ships were returning to port with massive amounts of people that were been sick. So they've been doing complete like detox stuff here. So obviously, yeah, it's not just hitting. Yeah, it's serious enough that they're taking steps.
It's very hard to get over.
One other thing, y'all know any people who have kids in the public school system? It seems like when their kids are in school, they're always sick, but when their kids are out of school, they're not sick. Now, I don't remember as a kid my parents being sick all the time. So what has changed? Are they not cleaning the schools, I wonder? I mean, why is all the people sick all the time? That
Randy,
just doesn't make sense to me.
You're going to get me in trouble because now I have to now I have to answer you.
You don't have to answer that. It's going to get yourself in trouble.
No, I have to now. It's on my mind. I homeschooled Hunter whenever he was here for not just because of the COVID-19, but because of the school shootings and the bullying and everything that goes on. Well, we'll see if this one gets unmonetized. Whenever I worked I worked with what we called the SOT team, which is Special Operations and Tactics. We trained for an active shooter. Okay, and I'm just going to straight out tell everybody right now, if you trust malls and schools, in my opinion, to protect your child in a hostile environment to where there's an active shooter, I'm sorry, but your child is not protected. And the reason I say that is because whenever that happens, They take your child and they go to a classroom, they lock the door, and they sit and they wait. Now, a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not going to say this is how it is everywhere else, and this is opinion. Please understand this is just opinion from what I know, what I've heard, and what I've worked with. If that happens at a said place, the police officers are not going to rush into the school to save people. Their protocol is in a situation like that I'm aware of, is you wait for special operations to show up to go in to take care of the active shooter. That can take several extra minutes for them to arrive to the school. Me personally, I decided that I love my child and I don't want my child sitting in a classroom waiting whenever there is people sitting outside that are properly trained and equipped to go in to handle the situation, but they don't just due to protocol. That I could not live with myself if I allowed that to happen. So I chose to keep him where I knew he was safe and to where I had control over him being safe. Now, he had his friends, he had his, he was in a private school and he would have his friends and they would meet at the park and they would do their, school activities and things like that. He still had that social interconnection, but it was where I was able to be there and make sure he was safe. Because in the state I live in, and Randy lives in, and I will say the great state of Oklahoma, or as the Cherokee Nation says, the Oklahoma, meaning the red people, we have the right here to bear arms, concealed or open carry, under constitutional carry, which means I could make sure my son, my family was protected. You don't know anymore what's going to happen the way our society is. You don't know when somebody is going to get triggered and do something stupid. And it doesn't mean that you have to be their enemy for them to hurt you. You just got to be at the right place at the wrong time. And even after 10 years, I haven't worked in 10 years. I took bodyguard training also. When I go in to eat somewhere, I never sit with my back to the door. I sit in the corner. I know where the exits are. And I watch each and every person that walks in. And I've heard, I've even had mom tell me before, she'll say, quit staring at people, And you're not staring at them because you're being nosy. You're staring at them because you are profiling them. You're memorizing what is on that person. Is there something on him that I need to be aware of? How are they acting? What's their demeanor? Are they agitated? You start looking at all kinds of things because, my family's sitting in there with me, the people that I love the most. And I'm not willing to jeopardize somebody I love because of a policy. I'll put it like that. Policies fail every day. And as far as the sickness, to answer your question, I do not believe that it's a regular flu. I was sick as a child growing up. You just knew every summer you were going to get the flu. I mean, you did, or every winter, you just knew you was going to get it. I mean, you got the flu. You got diarrhea. You threw up. You ran a fever. You're sick. You ate chicken noodle soup. 2-3 days, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not with this shit. I mean, this stuff. it hit me. I remember the first day. I'll tell you exactly how it started. It was like I had allergies. I was sneezing, my nose was itching, and it's like I had allergies. Like, everything had started blooming out. The next day I woke up and I felt like somebody had beat me with a ball bat in my sleep. Every muscle, every joint hurt. Uh, I was not uh, congested real bad at that point, but I hurt everywhere. I felt terrible and I was sneezing. The next day, I'm like, man, this has got to get better. So the next day, oh no, it doesn't get better. The next day, you're running a high fever. You got those chills that you could not get warm no matter what you did. You had a very nauseous stomach. I think I threw up twice, and it takes a lot for me to throw up. I don't even like to throw up. And I was very sick to my stomach, high fever, hurt all over, headache. I had a headache, a bad migraine. And I was like, surely the next day this has got to be better, right? Oh no. The next day it goes to your stomach and you get the diarrhea with everything else. So then you're fighting that. And then right whenever you think it's about to end, it's like it turns into a cold. It attacks your lungs, your sinuses, your head. You're feeling miserable. You can't breathe. You can't cough it up. It's like it's dry. You try to cough it up, but you cannot get a productive cough. It just hangs in your lungs and stuff. And then finally, eventually now, I'm getting where I have a little bit of a productive cough, but my ears and stuff are all still clogged up. It's miserable. Yeah, God, Belinda, you're getting me in trouble. Um, and like what Robert said, you got sick every other year, and now you're not allowed to have an immune system. They're making everyone allergic to human contact. Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's a different virus all the way around because just not by what I read, because I don't believe everything I read. There ain't no way we can do that. I
I'm
just
just
go
going by what I went through. I mean, what
right
I experienced personal
how
traumatic
how you
sickness
how
was
you
nothing
feel.
like the normal flu. I would agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, and how I felt and how I watched my family go through the same thing. It was not like, my immune system was down, so it was harder on me. It was like, man, it was hard as hell on everybody. And I questioned some things because it was weird. I remember I went in there to eat the first day I felt like eating, and I walked in there and I bought a bunch of chicken noodle soup, and I went in there and I made some chicken noodle soup and I poured myself some Sunny Delight, and I sat down and I took a bite of the soup, and the soup, weird, tasted like fish, tasted just like fish soup, like fish head soup. And I about puked. I was like, "Oh my God, there's something wrong with soup." I mean, that's the last thing that you want to taste when you're sick is this strong fish ass soup, right? So I took a bite of that, and I'm like, sitting there trying not to puke, and I don't like to puke, so I'm mad. So I grabbed the orange juice. I take a drink of the orange juice, and it tastes like somebody put every rotten orange they could in there. It was the bitterest, worst tasting. I was like, what in the hell is wrong? And then I was talking to mom, and mom was like, everything tastes so bad. And I was like, yeah, tastes like fish and rot. So, I mean, the only thing I
Yeah,
could drink that actually didn't taste weird was the water. But the food, all the food tasted like I went out there and drug it off the side of the highway. I mean, it was terrible.
I went through similar. Nothing tasted good. I tried to drink a cup of coffee, and I did the same thing. I puked because it tasted like something rotten. I mean, oh my God, it's like my taste buds were screwed up.
Did you notice that anything
Wasn't that a
sweet really
movie?
though? anything sweet was just like bitter. Like even if I ate a piece of candy, because I would try to eat something sweet, and it would taste like, I don't know, like Kaylee's dog licked me in the mouth. I mean, it was terrible. I don't know what was wrong, but man, my taste buds were messed up bad, and I don't know, I there was a couple of points that I actually questioned if I was probably going to make it through this, or if they was going to find me with my head covered up with the blanket and Campbell's soup vomit down the front of me because it tastes like fish.
I had to use the Mucinex stuff to get rid of that spleen because I couldn't get rid of it, and then I had to drink lots of fluids in order to activate that stuff because that took forever to get rid of. It was horrible. I don't want that anymore.
See, that's what I said. Mucinex.
Yeah, Dana, it tasted like a skid mark for sure. I want to. I ain't gonna go there, but yeah, Dana, it did. I have to be careful. Sometimes people set me up. But yeah, I mean, nothing tasted, and I don't know what it was, but I'm not lying. When I tasted that chicken noodle soup, it tasted just like fish. I mean, it was just like the strongest fish taste. It's like, I don't know. It was bad. It was nasty. Uh, Sunshine says an ozone generator machine, air purifier, ionizer, ozonator, eBay around $50. You cannot be in the area being used. It will even pull mold out of sheetrock. I highly recommend at this point in time. Hey, that does sound like a good deal there. Probably ought to pick you up a what is it? One of those lights that people were using too. They say that kills the germs. What was they? The
Ultraviolet.
UV light.
Yeah, the UV light. There was people I knew that back when COVID was around, they were buying the UV light, and they would go to Walmart and buy their groceries, and then take their groceries out of the sacks and set them out, and then turn that light on, and let that light would circle, and they would leave it in there, and they go get their stuff. And them people did not get COVID. So I mean, there had to be something to it, because I got COVID in 2019 before they said it was ever here, and it about killed me, my doctor, and her whole staff. So it was terrible.
The UV lights you can actually get installed right into your furnace and venting system, like your AC and furnace system. A lot of HVAC companies will actually install that. That was one of the things that when I was going to school for it, we were trained on, and the benefits of it. And that was before COVID. And didn't understand why more people wouldn't have put those in there, because it purifies the air before it actually goes through the vents and into your home. And helps keep your ductwork from becoming contaminated with bacteria and mold as well. But it is beneficial.
Well, it makes me wonder too that whenever you go into Walmart, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I'm gonna get myself in trouble. The mall that the mall that I worked at had a recirculating system, so potentially somebody had a virus on the east end of the mall. They coughed and puked or whatever. That would go up into the ventilation system, be recirculated, and then dispersed throughout the mall. So
most of that stuff is taken care of through basic filtration systems. which the malls and such would have a filtration system set up. It's just a lot of the particles that, like they were claiming with COVID, would be much smaller and would be able to pass through the filtration systems that most standard facilities had.
So that's what they told us because we asked them about it. We was like, so will the viruses be, filtered out through the filtration system? And they said no. And we were like, will it take any of it out? They're like, no. And we're like, so we're at risk in here, right? So guess what they tell you? What did they say? Wear your mask. We were forced to wear masks. We didn't have a choice. Because at our job, whenever we was on patrol or working, even the police officers, all of us, we were required to wear a mask if we dealt with the public. Required. And let me tell you, when you're chasing somebody in a foot race, that mask really hinders you a lot because it's hard to breathe when you're chasing somebody with that mask on. That's why you taser them. Not really.
What's the distance on those things?
Well, there was a guy climbing over a privacy fence, and he had assaulted a guy, and I grabbed his leg, and he kicked me in the top of the head and kicked my hat off. And I stepped back probably from me to him on top of the fence and everything, probably 15 feet, something like that. And I shot him, and one stuck in his butt and the other one stuck elsewhere. And he fell off of the fence down onto the ground. So I know they at least have about 15 feet, and it worked really well. He just fell off. So, yeah.
Oh. We love stories out at Mike's house. They will definitely leave you warm and fuzzy. Love the stories.
Yeah.
He looked like he looked like a cat when I hit him. He just kind of like and then just fell. So I didn't have to use the second charge on him because once you hit him, it's 30 seconds. I mean, you're riding the lightning for 30 seconds as soon as it hits you, and then after that, you can pull the trigger again with the probe still in you and give them another 30 seconds. But the first 30 seconds was enough. Yeah.
Sounds like you a little bit too much, Mike.
Well, I had to tase another guy. He was wanted for armed robbery out of Kansas, and he had a Bowie knife on him, probably that long. He had it on his side, looked like one of those big, like Jeremiah Johnson knives, wearing it, and I didn't even know he was in the mall until a guy ran up to me and told me, he said, "Hey, a guy down there just threatened to kill me with a huge knife. He pulled it out and stuck it to my stomach." And I was like, "You know where he's at?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's standing right over there at Pretzel Maker." I was like, "All right." So I go walking over with my partner, and I yell at him, and he turns around, and there's this big knife, stuck in the side of his pants. And I'm like, "Keep your hands above the knife, dude." I'm like, "Are you threatening people?" And he grabs it and pulls it out. Well, when he did it, I shot him just immediately. And whenever I shot him, I didn't realize that my partner shot him too. So we both dropped our cartridges on him at the same time. Yeah, he dropped in the floor and started doing the worm. It looked like, and We didn't have any trouble putting the cuffs on him. Yeah.
Y'all lit his ass up. I bet you he was willing to get in that car. No problem.
He was he, yeah, he was very well behaved.
It's like this is attitude adjustment, you know. It's all it takes. Bad actors, they get done with that. You know, they should have complied beforehand. Is all I gotta say.
Well, a lot of people didn't know, but at the mall, we averaged each officer about 58 arrests a week, and
Wow.
we would average about 12 guns a week that we would take off of people. So we got a lot of officers that were hurt there, a lot of arrests. I lost an officer. He was 21 years old. So pretty dangerous place. You got a lot of gangs. You got a lot of gangs in and out of there. It can get pretty rough. But I mean, we had our fun times too. There. Me and this police officer, we arrested this kid because this kid had ran up and stuck a gun in a police officer's stomach and was trying to pull the trigger, and the gun wouldn't go off. So the police officer was wrestling him, and I seen him wrestling, and I ran over and I grabbed him, and we took him down, and I had him in what they call a strong side arm bar. And I was telling the kid, I was like, give me your other arm. I could see the gun laying in between him and the officer. And of course, I'm trying to keep the kid from getting to my duty belt, getting my weapon, because they'll try to pull your weapons off of you when you're on the ground. And I had him on the ground, I had him in an arm bar, and I was like, give me your other arm. And he wouldn't give it to me. And I pushed just a little harder, and it sounded like a 2x4 snapped. And I ended up snapping his arm completely around. That was a pretty weird feeling to feel. But he screamed and threw his other arm back there really fast, so I was able to get the cuffs on him. He was done.
Better that outcome than him get your sidearm and use it on you, you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Because they definitely will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have no respect. They have no respect for you, none. I will say though that was one of the most haunted places I've ever worked.
Is the mall still open, or is it closed down now where you used to work?
It's still opened. At nighttime, and I will tell you all this, and this is true. This is very true. And I learned a lesson by working in that mall. So if anybody is a paranormal investigator or something, we was having some things go on down on what we call the east wing of the mall. It was down where they had a store. The name of the store was called Romancing the Stone. Inside of this place, they had magical rocks. They had Ouija boards. I mean, everything that Abe could ever wish for. I mean, he would be like in Candyland. I mean, they had everything like that in there. So down on that end of the store and on that area, there was voices. So one night, one of the guys said, I'm going to stay after work, and I'm going to go down there with my camera and see if I can get a picture of whatever this thing is. So he went down there and was, taking, he had one of those high dollar cameras that would like take really fast pictures. I mean, you could hear it just like, and he was down there doing all those pictures, and he comes walking up to the office and he's like, you'll never guess what I caught on this camera. And I was like, what'd you get? His name was Micah. And I was like, did you get something bad? He's like, dude, if I show you, you're probably not going to want to work in here alone no more. And I was like, well, yeah, I want to see. So we went back to the office. I mean, you can't tell me that and not show me. So we go to the office, and he pulls up the camera, and it's a DDN of Abe. No, not really. He pulls out the camera, and it's a little boy. And this little boy is standing inside of Romancing the Stone, up on the where the cash register's at, up on the where you lay your stuff to pay for it. And beside where that little boy was standing, they had received a box, and this box was from Africa, and it was a pallet. Picture a standing pallet, right? Say 4 foot by 4 foot dimensions, like a perfect square. Okay, one of the sides of the pallet they had opened, and you could look inside of it. Was a huge rock inside of there, and it was just full of crystals. And they had some name for it. It was some magical rock. Well, during the day, people would show up to that store, and I'm talking some weird people dressed very, demonic. And they would go in there and rub their hands on that crystal, and they would leave stuff on it. And you could go into that little store and you could buy like all kinds of little crystals, like whatever you wanted. They had satanic Bibles in there, all that kind of weird shit. And they would go buy these little bitty crystals, and then they would take those little crystals over to that big rock and do whatever they would do. And then some people would leave the crystal on the rock, and some would rub the crystal on it, and then they would go pay for it and then take it home with them. So I'm guessing the activity in that store was probably causing a lot of what was happening, because there was a toy store just on the other side of where Romancing the Stone was at, right? So one night, one of the officers was walking through there, and this police officer was walking, and he hears something hitting the glass like that. And he turns and he looks, and all the little Christmas dolls that was in there were all lined up against the glass like they were looking at him.
No.
And
No.
you can see him on camera. He like looks, and then he goes, and he starts backing up. He was coming back by the second time, and he pulled out his cell phone, and he recorded on his cell phone, because he said nobody would have ever believed me. And whenever he walked by there, you could hear all the Christmas music and all the toys in there playing. So the next morning, before that store opened, everybody went down there to go check on the store. And whenever the owners of the store, they would arrive, and they would always go in through the back, through the corridors into their stores, get the store ready, then lift the cage, when they were ready to open. Every morning, whenever they would go in there, all the toys would be in their places where they were supposed to be. But whenever the officers would walk by the store, the toys would be all over the place, like looking out the windows at them, and the toilets would flush. We've had officers walk down the corridors, and the lights in the store would come on, and you would have the automatic "Welcome to Sears, everybody." It's Happy Holidays, and then it just shuts off. So it's not a fun place to work. It's really not. I mean, the holidays, believe it or not, were scarier than the regular days, because you had all the stupid like Santa Claus villages out there, and the elves, and some of the officers would say that they would go down and walk through there, and they'd come back, and one of the elves would be moved or something. It'd be in a different spot, or It would look like it was peeking around a hood at them or something, you know. Pretty crazy. And then Halloween was really crazy. Halloween night, Romancing the Stone would always have a what they would call a late night release. So they would have like this demonic book that would be shipped in, right? And for some reason, they wouldn't release that book during regular operating hours. They would wait. The mall closed at 9. They would wait until midnight, till 3 to release it. So they would pay for the extra coverage of the officers to be able to release it, right? So we was sitting in there one night. Of course, all these people show up, to get their books. They get their books, and I mean, they're dressed the part too. You got people dressed like demons, and they do that weird talk to each other, that blah blah blah, and doing their little spells and all that. And of course, they're doing their thing, and we're all sitting there. Well, they all leave, and we secure the building, and me and my partner turned, and we saw a dude in a long black trench coat with long black hair, and his skin was like super pale, ran down the public hallway. So we took off after him, right? The public hallway dead ends at the maintenance doors. And there's no way you can get through the maintenance doors. They're two double, completely steel doors. Whenever we got down there was nobody there. So we turned around and we're walking out and we're like, where could he have went? And we're trying not to think, crazy. All right, Sharon, it's okay. We're fixing to hop off. And, I'm walking down through there and we hear this boom, 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 boom. The maintenance doors start rattling. So we had a key to every door inside of that mall. So we went down. Every supervisor had what they called a master key. That master key would unlock every door and every padlock inside of that mall. It was required that key would open everything. So we went down and we opened the doors and went inside of maintenance. And there wasn't nobody in there.
Creepy.
So, I was leaving. I'll tell you one more story. I was leaving one night. I was walking down the public hallway. And whenever you leave for the night, you walk down the public hallway and you walk into this special, it's a secured room. It's a complete steel door. You unlock that door, you step inside, and you have a control panel. On that control panel, you put a password in. You have 30 seconds to exit the mall, shut the outside door, and then the main system arms itself, which is everything, every motion detector, sensor, everything arms itself at that point. And nobody can go inside until 8 o'clock in the morning when that part shuts down. If anything's inside of there trips it, it automatically alerts the police department. So I was walking down there, and whenever the cleaning crew would clean the restrooms, part of the security protocol was they would have to prop the bathroom doors open and leave them open for the duration of the night till the next day for the officers on duty to know nobody's in there. Because the less doors you have to open, the better off you are. It's safety, it's security. You don't know what's on, the other side of that door. So I'm walking down and I go past and I notice that the doors are closed, which wasn't unusual. Sometimes they wouldn't do that because they would be in a hurry. So it wasn't like it was unusual. But the toilet flushed. And you know how the hairs on the back of your neck stand up? And you're like, you're the only one in this big building. And you just walk past the bathrooms and the toilet flushes.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're thinking, do I just go arm the main alarm and leave? And if there's somebody in there, let it catch them? Or do I do my job and do I go check it out? Well, I did my job. So I go to the bathroom, to the male's bathroom first, open the door, kick the little stand down so the door stays open. Of course, you got my protection in my hand. Check the stalls. Nobody's in there. So the toilet flushes in the women's bathroom. So I'm like, oh, okay. We know where it's at now. It's in the women's bathroom. So I open the door, and what I'm honestly expecting to see is a kid that's, snuck in there and tried to stay in there overnight. So start looking through the stalls. Ain't nobody in there. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'm leaving. I'm not. So I walk out of the bathrooms, walk probably 6 foot down the hall through the double doors to go to the main door to arm it. Toilet flushes again. I'm like, I'm not going back. I've already been in there. I know there's nobody there. So I go through the main door, put my code in. It says I have 30 seconds to go out to the main door, open it and shut it and exit the building. Open the big door, go to slam it, and whenever I go to slam it, I hear like a little kid's voice say, "Goodbye," just as I slam the door. So I sat there and I waited about 5 minutes knowing that the alarm system had set, and we never got an alarm from inside of anything moving around. So whatever was inside was undetectable by motion detectors and stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't know if something like a little kid, it was a demon, of course, but whatever it was playing a game with me. I think the flushing the toilets was a game. I think it was playing a game because it knew when it flushed the toilets that I would come and look for it. I did talk to my lieutenant about it. I thought he would think I was crazy. And he's like, "Oh, if that's all that happens to you while you work here, then count yourself, lucky." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So there is some bad stuff in here. And he just smiled at me and he's like, "If that's all that happens to you, you're lucky." And nights it was storming and raining, the lightning, above because we had the big skylights in there. And whenever it was lightning, you could see the lightning all down through the mall, through the trees, down the middle of the walkways and all. It was scary. Whole building would rattle, the trees would shake, and the leaves would fall out. It was pretty crazy.
And the creep factor
Do what?
adds to the creep factor.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Unless anybody has any questions, guys, I think we're going to head this one off. Randy, if you'd like to start us on the way out.
Everybody, we'd like to thank you for showing up and watching this show. The Abnormal Investigation Channel, shining a light into the darkness, revealing the truth about the real world we live in. God bless and stay warm over this cold, people. Good night.
Like to say thank you for everybody being here. We couldn't be here if you guys weren't here. So God bless. Stay warm. Stay safe. Apparently, don't fly if you don't have to. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, everybody, we appreciate y'all showing up tonight, hanging out with us. It was a kind of a free for all where we just kind of hung out and visited with you guys. Had a lot going on. We got, like I said, the cold that's coming in. So prayers for everybody that's, not equipped for this. There is people out there I know that suffer harder in this than others. And we just pray that they're able to get through this without property damage of pipes busting or their vehicles. We pray that they're able to get through this, and that the warmer days are ahead. Spring's just around the corner, so we pray that y'all are safe and we all get through this. I want to thank everybody for the support, and of course the Purple Hearts for Hunter means a lot. And Randy, before we end this, if you don't mind, would you mind saying a prayer for Hunter and for protection for him and get him home safely.
Okay, Heavenly Father, we lift up Hunter to you, Lord. We ask that you send your guarding angels to guard him from evil and protect him, Father. We pray, God, for your favor for this next court hearing, that you will grant favor for Mike. And we pray, Lord, for the decision to be anonymous to send Hunter home with his family. We ask you, Lord, to put special protection of your angels over him between now and the time he comes home, where we request 1,000,000 host angels to be stationed around Hunter to protect him and keep him safe. And God, we just give you praise and glory for bringing him home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All right, Randy, I appreciate that. And everybody, y'all have a safe and good night. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you and good night.
Good night.